Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Will Prosser, and I'm a Senior Product Manager working at TUI. And I'm here today to talk to you a bit about mobile, why mobile is important. I think we all know that. But it's starting to dig into a bit of detail around what we as businesses can do to respond to the growth of mobile. Quick bit of context in terms of who I am and where I work. So I work for TUI Group. So TUI Group is an outbound tourism business based in Europe. We've got 20 million customers, 6 different airlines serving 180 different countries. Very large business, very, very traditional. So some of you may be more familiar with some of the challenges that big legacy businesses have to adapt to the fast-paced world of mobile and digital. In terms of where I work, so I'm a senior product manager within an internal tech startup that work within TUI to try and help this big old traditional business embrace mobile to its full potential. In terms of what I wanted to talk to you today about, starting off with just touching on mobile growth. I won't dwell on this too long. I think we all know where the direction's going. What does this mean in terms of the behaviours that we see? And then spend a bit of time talking about how we as businesses can respond to that. So first of all, I wanted to ask a question to the audience just to get a feel for how many mobile savvy users we've got here today. So I want you to have a bit of a think about how often you use your mobile devices on a daily basis. So I want you to raise your hands if you think you look at your phone, let's say 14, 15 times a day, so about every hour or so. Okay? How about 30 times a day, so every half an hour you're looking at your phone? 60 times a day, every 15 minutes you're pulling out your pocket and opening it? Okay, so a good spread. According to Apple, the average iPhone user logs into their device 85 times a day. That is the average user. So that's every 11 minutes, roughly. And that represents 2,500 different interactions, an interaction being a swipe, a tap, a click, and so on. If you look at the top 10% of users, 5,500 interactions per day. So not only is it a very pervasive technology, the depth of engagement is like nothing we've ever seen before. Cisco, in fact, came up with a statistic or prediction that by 2020, more people will have mobile phones than electricity, running water, and cars. When you start thinking about fundamental human needs, mobile will soon get to a point where it may even outstrip those. So I think Maslow might have something to say about that. And you only have to look around you just to see how mobile is everywhere. Everywhere you go. I mean, the tube's not exactly the most sociable of places. Everyone's glued to their phones. My favourite, you walk around the streets of London, everyone seems to have developed this innate ability to walk along, texting, but still being able to avoid, mostly, running into other people. Quite amusing when it does happen, though. But, I mean, I think the point's clear, and I don't want to labour it too much. Mobile is taken over, and it is everywhere. It's used by everyone, anywhere, at any time. So what does this mean? If you're not familiar with Google's work on Micromoments, I suggest you go and have a look at it. There's some really good pieces of work that very, very effectively describe what this mobile growth means in terms of behavioural shift. Because that is exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing consumers behave in a completely different way. Those 2,500 interactions every single day mean that a customer at any given moment can reach for their device just reflexively to go and act on some impulse. So you've got these micro-moments, as termed by Google, where users are engaging with brands on a regular basis, looking to act, to buy something, to find out something about something, to learn about something. These I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, I want to buy moments. So what we've got to think about is how these behaviours are changing so that customers and the way in which they engage with your brands are evolving. Bit of a busy slide, this one, but what do those mobile behaviours mean from a business perspective? Fundamentally, the consumer journey and the path to purchase, if you're looking at from a commerce perspective, has been completely fractured now. So it's gone from a simple 5 or 6 interactions with the business perhaps, to over 30 different touch points with the business across multiple different devices, and it's a very fragmented and complex landscape. Customers informed and empowered, they know more than they've known before. They're able to challenge you. They're able to walk into a retail store and say, you've got this holiday on your website that costs this much. Why are you charging more for me here in this store? So they're able to challenge traditional ways in which businesses used to operate. And there's an increasing expectations on brands now. So often when we looked at our competitors as TUI, we looked at the likes of Thomas Cook, and we'd see what are their websites like, what are their digital experiences like. However, our customers aren't doing that. Our customers are judging us as businesses based on their engagement with Uber, with Spotify, with Facebook, with Google, and so on. So customers' expectations are increasing rapidly. And each moment they engage with us as a business, or any of these different businesses, they're shaping their preferences and they're having a fundamental influence over their decision making. So it's vital that we seize the opportunity to meaningfully engage with consumers in every single one of these touch points across this very fragmented and complex journey. We're also seeing a bit of a disparity in terms of this huge growth in mobile engagement. I touched on some of the statistics. You can read at length about how pervasive mobile has become. But yet, according to the white paper that you guys have got on your chairs, only 18% of online revenues come from mobile. So the bulk of revenues are still coming from desktop. But we need to dig a little bit deeper to understand the role that mobile actually plays within that. A stat from Google, over 60% of travel searches started on mobile. So that first device they reach for is a mobile device. Another statistic, 94% of those who are researching for travel do so across multiple devices. And I think one which really hit home when I read it was that of those that are searching on mobile, they're going to your website, to your app or so on, to explore about where they want to go and what they want to do. 46% of those people searching on mobile, they made their final purchase decision on a mobile device, but then navigated to another device to actually finalize that purchase. So the decision making is done within that channel, they're just purchasing it elsewhere. And for those of you that work in digital environments and work with digital marketeers or who are digital marketeers, there's long been this traditional argument around last click attribution. So they clicked on our paid advert and they've now converted. This is why we have a digital marketing team. What mobile is exposing is a much deeper level of engagement that we need to understand and act upon and invest in to ensure that we're shaping those engagements with each businesses. So, what can we do about that? It's very easy to get excited about all the different innovations that we're seeing, all the different technologies that are coming out, but fundamentally, we need to start by making sure we get the basics right. We talked about these different behaviours. What we need to do is understand what the consumers want in each of these touch points when they're engaging with a business. What is that context within that touch point on their mobile device? As we talked before, these micro moments, they're reaching for their phone because they're in a coffee queue and they want to find an answer very, very quickly. So we need to make sure we're able to respond to them. So identify those moments, but most importantly, identify the ones that matter and be useful in those moments. So there's a good example here from Skyscanner's app. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with Skyscanner. Great for looking for flights. I'm often looking for flights and I'll share it with a friend. And the mechanism by which I normally do that, I take a screenshot of a search result and I send it to them. And that used to be a bit of a clunky process. I'm there trying to share with my friends, are you happy with this flight, and so on and so forth. And then one day I realized I took a screenshot, bundled that up. It said, do you want to customize this? So I could draw on it and stuff like that. I could highlight things. And then it gave me a very, very quick integration with messaging systems. So I could then send it to a friend via WhatsApp with a link, which they could then click on to find those exact same search results. Very, very simple behavior, the taking of a screenshot. But Skyscanner identified that key moment and acted to provide a very, very good service, but also feature which I guarantee will have driven a lot of conversion. So find those moments that matter for your business and be useful in them. We talked about these new behaviors which illustrate that mobile, it's not just a new channel. It's not just a smaller screen size. It's a fundamentally different way in which users are engaging with your business. And to properly cater for that requires fundamental change on the business side as well. So as well as understanding that customer, you need to then place mobile at the core of your consumer experience. And working within a very traditional travel business, this can be very difficult. TUI's operated for a long time, very successfully in a very traditional way. But you've only got to read the news earlier this week in terms of how the travel industry is evolving and the need to engage customers in the way in which they want to be engaged, which is through mobile. And finally, it's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but in the world of mobile and the world of digital, data is so, so important. And so it's about understanding the performance. Where is your sales coming from? Where are those decisions being made? What is driving that decision making? As I said, it's not that last click conversion. It's where in that path to purchase are you making a difference or were you not making a difference? It's having the teams in place. It's having KPI-focused teams. It's having data scientists available. It's having hypothesis-driven. So if you're looking after a digital team and you're delivering new products on a regular basis, are you coming up with a hypothesis as to what value that adds to your customer? So get the basics right. Once we do that, then we can get into the more exciting things. There's never been as much choice in the travel market as there is now. The product offering within travel is evolving quicker than many, many other industries. So we need to make sure that as businesses, we're able to help our customers make those decisions. If you think about what is a very complex decision, narrowing that down, helping a customer, using the expertise within your business to provide them with a relevant offering, what is relevant for that customer, so personalised recommendations for them. We talked about mobile behaviours and the context within different touch points and how fragmented the consumer journey is. So yes, we need to identify and act within those different touch points. But also consumers expect to be able to engage with your business in a consistent way. If you log into Facebook on your phone, then log in on your tablet later, are you expecting to see a different experience? If you've added someone as a friend on your phone, you expect it to be there in the other experience as well. Customers are expected to be treated as individuals through every single different touch point. In travel business, that can be difficult. We've got very siloed businesses. You might have a retail team, a call center team, a digital team, an app team. But it's vital that you're able to achieve a consistency across the board so that cross-channel experience is seamless. And where in mobile, as I talked beforehand about the disparity between engagement and sales, this is where opportunities start to come up. So for example, if I book my holiday on a tablet or a desktop, I pay for the holiday or I pay the deposit, and then a few weeks before I'm going to depart, I want to upgrade my flight perhaps, or I want to buy an excursion or buy my insurance. If I've been able to save my payment details when I purchase first on desktop, and I'm then engaging via that business through the app, I should be able to, with one click, purchase something because you've got those payment details saved. Again, this is where you start to get to some quite powerful stuff, and you start to deal with a lot of the issues you see around mobile, the kind of barriers to purchase within mobile. Cross-channel experiences and effectively storing data and so on is a very good way to do that. There's a lot of talk about digital transformation, and we go around to a lot of businesses across Europe and talk to them about mobile and what they need to do to respond. And a lot of people talk about digital transformation as an incremental step. It's a process that we need to go through as a business. Once we've done it, we're away, we're done, we're set. The pace of change isn't slowing down, it is only increasing. And there was a great quote at a conference I went to the other day that was, there is no such thing as digital transformation, only constant transformation. And I think that's something to really think about, is how can you empower your teams to set up to be able to continually change and respond to the changing market. So empowering your teams to make those changes. And finally, innovation. So I work for a very large business. We've got a very active PR team, and they love nothing more than issuing press releases saying, TUI's done this fantastic new innovation. We're working with chatbots, we're working with AI, and so on. Now, that's all great from a PR point of view, and if you're looking to impress the city, and if you're looking to attract people to your innovative business. However, don't do it for the sake of it. Great to innovate, but before you innovate, think about what value that offers to your customer. How scalable is it? How useful is that technology? How many people are using it? And ultimately, what value does that add to your customer? And so think about that carefully, and if you think it's right, go for it. There's some good examples we've had with chatbots. Personally, I don't think natural language processing is advanced enough to be able to cater for some of the complex questions you get when looking around a travel product. But for those of you who may have seen Jamie Oliver's, he had a chatbot launched about a week or so ago that just uses emojis. So you plug in an emoji and you can get recipes based on the emojis that you plug in. Very, very clever way of taking a fundamental flaw, well, not flaw, the challenge that exists at the moment, it will improve around natural language processing, and just using a simple input that's very, very commonly used, such as emoji, to engage customers and provide them with relevant content. So innovate, but not for the sake of it. I'll get a bollocking from the PR team after this. Anyway, so just to summarize very quickly, we've seen lots of new mobile behaviors. So it's worth recognizing that it's not just a different channel, it's not just a smaller screen, it's a fundamentally different way in which users are engaging with your business. So therefore, what's vital to then do is understand those behaviors, carry out user research, carry out testing, sit down and talk to your customers, map out the consumer journey, where are the pain points, where can we be useful, identify those moments where you can be most useful. It can be quite overwhelming at times when you look at it and think, Christ, this is where all of our customers are coming to us and so on, engaging with us in different ways, all these different expectations. Identify the ones that matter most to you as a business and make sure you're present and useful in those moments. And I can't reiterate this enough. You've got to start with the basics. You can have some fantastic, innovative new tool, but if customers aren't able to get to it and use it in a regular way, then it's useless. Nearly 50% of people will close a website if it doesn't load within 3 seconds on a mobile device. And it's useful sometimes to get out of London. I mean, I work in London Bridge, and I talk to our developers quite a lot of the time, saying, yes, OK, it loads in this time because you're on a super fast Wi-Fi connection, slam bang in the middle of London. Try getting on a train from, I don't know, into Paddington on a commuter train in the morning. Then you start to realise how these experiences look from a standard customer's point of view. And finally, just to reiterate that point around preparing for continual change. It is going to continue to keep changing. Mobile, as we know it today, we understand it and so on. However, it is a gateway into these new experiences. There's going to be an ecosystem of different experiences that are accessed through mobile. Things like chatbots, virtual reality, and so on. We're just starting to see them come out now. But fast forward a few years, and there'll be a whole world that's accessible through that device in your pocket or through other devices as they come about as well. I saw this quote the other day, so I thought I'd end on that as well, because I think it's always good to kind of talk around the different opportunities and so on. But it is very, very true that there's never been an easier time to be a customer, yet a harder time to be a business. And I was at a round table the other day talking to a lot of other kind of heads of mobile and so on in kind of big retailers and so on around the UK. And I find, me personally, we're quite self-critical of where we stand within mobile. We see, as personally as TUI, we see these really innovative new players coming into the travel market, and we're quite self-critical. But you might surprise yourself as well that we're all facing the same challenges, we're all facing the same struggles. So that's why you've just got to be really clearly focused on what matters for your business, understand that, act upon it, and it will come. So, yeah, thank you.